Hello everyone, welcome to another session on the tutorials for the Cessna Grand Caravan 208B Grand Caravan on Flight Simulator 2020. We just started our flight here after the world map. We selected parking 10 on Kelowna International Airport, CYLW, and we're going to take off from Kelowna and go to Kamloops, which is half an hour flight, give or take. It's going to take us more than half an hour because we're going to do the cockpit preparation, we're going to start up the engine, we're going to do the whole process and simulate the actual flight using VORs and NDBs. We will not do direct GPS on this flight. I'll show you how it works, but we will do VOR to VOR. So let's start. The first thing we're going to do is I have to go to ready to fly, and we're going to set us on the cockpit here. And it is 6:30 in the morning, so it's going to be a beautiful sunrise for us. You'll see the mouse circle and all the clicks that I'm going to make. So let's start. First thing, we're going to hide this yoke so we have a better view of everything here. It's your option if you want to hide that yoke too as well. And we're going to make sure everything is turned off because sometimes FS2020 give us some surprises. So battery is off. There you go. So it was off. All the switches here are off and latched off. Everything's off. Here is everything's off. Yep, it is. These ones here don't matter. That's for the lights. Parking brake is set, very important. Make sure that this is pulled out. Otherwise, when you start the engines here, the aircraft will start to roll forward. We don't want to kill that friend of ours. So parking brake is set. And for some odd reason, Microsoft Flight Simulator only starts with fuel lever on, and it should actually be on cutoff. So let's reset that. The other thing to take into consideration is our trims. Make sure that these lines here match the triangles. So the top one, it sort of matches, so it's alright right there. This one here a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. You adjust that at your discretion. And the other one is here, our elevator trim. And we want to make sure that we are not all the way up, but we don't want it to be all the way down. So we're going to leave it around here on that triangle for now. Okay. Our throttle here should be on idle. Keep in mind that we have reverse thrust, but we just want on idle. So I do have a joystick or a throttle quadrant that I can adjust that. The other thing we want to confirm is that our flaps lever is up. So this would be flaps full, flaps for takeoff, and flaps up. There you go. Oh, one more thing. On our overhead, these are the fuel valves knobs. Let me see if I can do a quick cheat here. Yep, I can. So these knobs, they are on the off position, both of them, right there. And this is how it should be. And in a little bit, we're going to go here just before we start the engines, and we're going to switch these ones to the on position. So this one is going to turn on to the left, that one's going to turn on to the right. Okay, cool. Let's start. First things we already did, but we're going to turn on the battery, turn on the nav light on, and I'm going to do the external power to starter and standby power there. Check. And at this point, we would do a little bit of a flight planning, where we're going to go, where we are going from, through where, our route, and etc. A great tool to use is little nav map, because otherwise, how do you know how to get where? I don't use this the whole flight. I like to fly through the instruments, but I need to get some information out of here. Where to go? Are there any frequencies? Where are we gonna go to? So I'm gonna go from Kelowna here, and I'm gonna right click on Kelowna and set as flight plan departure, and it transfers to the left hand side here. And we want to go to CYKA Kamloops. Shows up here, right click and set as flight plan destination, and it shows there. Don't pay attention to all these lines here on the bottom because I keep track of all my flights here, sort of thing, but let's leave it there for now. All the information of those two airports shows up here. So if you click on Kelowna and show information, it will show the winds, the temperature, the barometric pressure, etc. And if you right click on Kamloops and show information, it will change the information to Kamloops, and all information will show up here. The winds in Kamloops show here as well, with the altitude or the length of the each runway, the weather, temperature and dew point, current altimeter in Kamloops, and that would be going from Kelowna. It shows up here, straight line from Kelowna to Kamloops. I'm going to hide all these lines for the Victor and Jet for the low and high highways or airways, and I'm not going to pay attention to these intersections. I'm not going to use the intersections right now, but you could add them to the flight plan, but I'm going to hide them. We're going to focus this session on VORs, NDBs, and ILSs. So from the map here, if you zoom in and zoom out, you'll see these little dots with the circles around. These are all NDBs. There's another one here. Is there one here? Yeah, there's one there. It's hidden behind that that navate in Salmon Arm. There's another one here in Enderby, so that's actually Enderby VOR. If you put the mouse on top, it will tell you the information. VOR DME, Enderby, YNY, and the frequency is 115.20. The range is 130 nautical miles, and the frequency on this little nav map also shows outside. Right now it's always resetting to where the aircraft is, so I'm going to go to flight plan, map, and I'm going to uncheck center aircraft, so that way I can plan all my stuff. Very well. So in Kelowna today we have no wind, so it doesn't matter where we're going to take off at Kelowna, but being here, I would like to go on taxiway Delta, taxiway Alpha, and take off from runway 16, go around, and then depart through downtown area and go up north through the lake. So I'll do all this manual, but I would like to follow some VORs and NDBs. So I'm going to take off from 16, go around here, come back. I could intersect 257 here, this NDB, and go to this NDB, and then go to this NDB. But I'm going to do all visual through the lake here, coming through Vernon, and I'm going to try to intersect NDB 302.0. So actually, I'm going to grab a piece of paper or a notepad, and I'm going to say take off on 16, and then follow the lake north, and then Vernon, and the V is 302.0. Okay, so from here, I would like to tune this VOR as well. So go to this VOR and then turn left and do an approach, a straight approach, overflying Salmon Arm and going to Kamloops and land in Kamloops. Okay, let's see what's going on in Kamloops. Kamloops 2992, and the winds are 6 knots, but it's not giving me the heading of the wind here, so unfortunately I cannot confirm. Oh, 92 degrees at 6 knots, so right here. So what do we have in Kamloops? We have runway 09 and 27. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass Kamloops through the lake and then turn around and land on this runway. So what I will do is I'm going to add that VOR. I'm going to hover the mouse on Enter B, right click, and add VOR DME Enter B to the flight plan. I'm going to click there. There we go. You have NY here. So now from Kelowna, I'm going to turn around, follow that NDB. Actually, let me add the Vernon NDB to the flight plan. There we go. And then from Enter B VOR, I'm going to turn left and I'm going to go to Kamloops NDB. And at this point, I'm just going to do a visual overfly at the airport. Going to turn around and line up to 10930. There we go. No, it's not waypoint. Sorry. Right click and delete. Apparently, I cannot do that here. Okay. So what I'll do on our notepad is basically writing down all these frequencies. So Vernon 302, YNY, it's going to be 115.20, and from there I'm going to go to YKA 223.0, and then I'm going to do runway 9, which is 109.30. Okay, that's basically my flight plan. I'm going to put that to my next screen. I'm going to zoom out and just see more or less what's going to happen. Go north to Vernon here, NDB, go to the Salmon Arm or Enter B VOR, turn left and follow that. Technically, I could also do something like this. Just going to bring up a rider here on the screen. There we go. Technically, if I wanted, I could do this and then turn left here, intercept 255 out of Enter B, and do this. And I can with this information. So we do know that we're going to fly north on a heading of 355, we get here, we're gonna do 016 to Enderby, and Kamloops is at 255 degrees from Enderby. So let's focus on this 255, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my note here and to Kamloops at 255 degrees. Let's keep this in mind, and I'm going to pull it to the left. I'm actually going to close this little nav map so I don't cheat. I do not want to save. You really want to quit? Yes. And it's gone. Okay. I still have this here. These are only numbers, and I know more or less what they mean. And in a little while, we're just going to program them, and we're going to follow that that plan, or hoping that we can fly that plan. All right. So back to our aircraft. We have the battery on. We have the external power on. We have the nav light on. Everything is off still. Our knobs on the overhead are still off. Everything's off here. Okay, I think we are ready for engine start. Let's start the engine. So, battery's on. We're going to turn on the beacon light. This will tell everyone outside the aircraft that we are just about to start the engines. You better move, my friend. And we have the red light outside. It's a beautiful morning. It's 6:40 in the morning in Kelowna. We do have beautiful scenery here. This is just the FS2020 default scenery. And let's start. First things first. Fuel valves on. Overhead. Fuel valves on. Beacon lights is already on, so everything knows that we're going to do something here. Beacon lights and ignition start are on. The starter on, and our prop is going to start to spin and spool up. Okay. It will not spool up more if we don't give them fuel. So red lever to the max. And it's pulling up quite nicely. At this point, we can shut off the external power and turn off standby alternator power, turn on our avionics, and before we turn off the ignition and the starter, we want to make sure that our engine is stable. So on the navigation display here, press rightmost soft key to continue. So let's press the soft key here. 340, it's stable. So let's go to ignition normal, starter to off. Make sure it's off. There's 3 positions. And if we go to our main screen here, navigation display, 340, steady, good temperature, RPM is good, and we have 600 pounds of fuel on each tank. 570, 550, it's right here. So we're good to go. All right, so we come to a point in business that, let's turn on seatbelt sign, no smoke, and the cabin lights. Make sure that everyone is safe and secure back there. And let's bring the notepad, our numbers, our magic numbers. Okay. So I hope you followed the previous tutorial on how to set up the PFD, the primary flight display, and that's what we're going to be doing now. So let's zoom in. On the world map, I did actually set the departure from CYLW up here to CYKA up here. It's 60 nautical miles distance between Kelowna and Kamloops. and a direct connection between Kelowna and Kamloops, it's heading 300. We're not going to do that though. We wanted to go to Enderby and turn left, if you remember that map. So how do we do that? We have to punch in all these numbers to our primary flight display here, and then we have to follow arrows of some sort, right? Alright, so to start I'm going to press the B key just to make sure that we have the correct altimeter and it is set to the right altimeter. And first frequency we're going to set up is the Vernon NDB. So the NDB, it's going to be on ADF DME, so soft key below ADF, and we're going to set that at 302. So outer knob on the bottom right, we're going to scroll, and we're going to, that thing is really messing me up. We're going to scroll the outer wheel down, and it's going to select that, and the inner wheel, we're going to go to the thousands, and we're going to select, was it 302? Let's confirm, 302. So 3, outer wheel to go to the dozens, 0, it's okay, units, 2, inner wheel to the left, outer wheel to the decimals, inner wheel to 0. Oops, I love the zoom out. 302. Press enter to select, yeah, that's the one, and enter again to transfer. Enter to transfer. And now it's on the left hand side and it's active. So how do we see, okay, what happens next, what's going on here? So let's zoom in so we can see and understand a little bit better. Let's close the ADF by pressing the ADF soft key. Now it's gone. I know that the frequency is in there and programmed. I'm going to go to the PFD soft key, and we're going to select BGR2 because ADF is not the primary navigation. It's just, okay, where are things? And you can put it on BRG1. I'm going to do it here. You select the soft key one time, selects nav1 frequency, but that's not what I want. Nav2 frequency, no, that's not what I want. GPS, it's already pointing there, see? 300 degrees. That little arrow starts here to there. The house points to the destination. If the house was on this side, it means that the house is behind us. The destination is behind us, so that's GPS. I don't want GPS. And the GPS information shows up here as well. So not only it shows on the top here, but it shows down here as well because BRG2 GPS. I'm going to press it one more time. ADF, no data. I'm going to keep it there because as soon as we go up, it's going to pick up that frequency and then we're going to have arrows coming up here. So trust me on this one, just keep it there. So that was the first navigation point. Second navigation point is we're going to fly to Enderby VOR, frequency 11520. Okay, so 11520. It's going to go on our nav1. Again, outer wheel hundreds. 115 decimal 20 inner wheel. That could have gone up. Okay, 11520. Confirm. Is that what it is? Yeah, 11520, and press the transfer. It's active. Okay, cool. So it's active. Now what? How do I know? What do I see? Well, still on this screen here, BRG1, we want the VOR right here. Okay, it doesn't show up, doesn't show anything here yet because we are still on the ground, but it will show. Okay, trust me. As we are here, we're gonna go to the soft key for the wind, and we're gonna select option 3. You will give me here the arrow of the wind direction and the strength, the wind velocity. So if there was any wind, it would show me here. I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to click back, and I'm going to click on the soft key for the DME. It's going to give me this distances here. So this is how I fly in a normal situation. Okay, let's go back one more time, and CDI here, you could click here, you'll see that it's going to go to VOR2, GPS, see that it's direct line on the GPS with Kamloops, so this line here will match CYLW, CYK, so that is Flight Simulator, like Microsoft did this so good, so every time that you click on, not click, that you hover the mouse on top of that thing, it just shows useless information. Okay, so that will match this guy, and if we click again on the soft key, it's going to go back to VOR1, and that's what we want. Okay, so we've done that. We're not going to use this at all. OBS, if you notice, it just puts a line here on the maps. That's going to be the direct map line for the GPS, but I really don't need that. So let's go to the XPDR transponder, soft key, code. I'm going to click on the soft key for the code, and I'm going to put 2001 random. You could put 233125 There's some codes that we don't use. If you, I think 7000 or something like that is for emergency, and then you are telling the airport that you have an emergency. Right now, for me, VDFR 2001 is fine. I'm going to click ident. I'm going to click back. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to click ident again, and it's going to be identified. Local time 6:48 a.m. Click back, and that's about it. So I could start flying right now. Let's do it. I'm going to go to my preferred view, and I'm just going to set the autopilot once we are in the air. Okay, make things more interesting. At this point, we could request clearance for taxi and whatnot. I'm just going through the switches to make sure I have everything set. That's good. Okay. For taxi, the blue can be at minimum. That's alright. So let's move it to minimum. Okay. And let's start taxiing. What do we do before start taxiing? Taxi lights off. Right here. And if you notice the grass here, it will lit up. Okay. Cool. So let's taxi to runway 16. Parking brakes release, and if you look down, I have a button that I'm gonna press, and the parking brake here will go inside. And it did. Perfect. And now I'm gonna give it thrust, and let's try to move the aircraft. I'm gonna try not to kill our friend over there, so I'm just gonna turn right slowly. I think I hit him with a wing. That's okay. I think he died. So, all right. Before we enter the taxiway here, I'm just gonna look right and look left just to make sure there's no one coming in by surprise, and it's not. There's no one there, so let's go. Excellent. Really cool colors. Really nice. Excellent. So at this point, we are almost at, before we start taxi, we would have asked, hey tower, we'd like to taxi to the active, and they would say, hey, go to runway 16 or runway 34 via taxiway Alpha or Delta or Charlie, whatnot, and hold short. So we're going to hold short here on our right hand side. I'm just going to line up with that line, and I'm going to start to stop before entering these lines here. Alright, now that I'm stopped, strobe lights on. So the strobe lights is going to be, if you look outside, we have right now 3 lights on, 3 lights types. We have the nav lights on each wing, we have the beacon light on the tail, and we have the taxi lights on, which is, in this aircraft, are those lights. Just for test purpose, I'm going to turn off the taxi light. They're off, and I'm going to turn on the right landing light. See that there's 2 lights here. The inner lights is the taxi, and the left one. Both landing lights are on, and strobe lights. See this one blinking? That's the strobe. That basically tells all the other aircrafts that we are in flight mode and ready to go. So the tower would say, go for it. Line up and fly. So let's line up. There's 2 things that I haven't done yet. And you're already commenting on the background. It's like, hey Alex, you forgot this and you forgot this. Oh, really? Alright, so we are lined up here. Okay, doing one last before takeoff pre-check. We're stopped. How about flaps? Right on. So, oops. So, flaps for takeoff. See there, takeoff. And our lever, the blue lever to the max. There you go, we have full power now. Okay, now we are good for takeoff. Let's do this. So on this aircraft here, we don't want to have that flashing, so I'm going to go to almost 90%, and if it starts flashing, I'm going to go a little bit back on the throttle. 50 knots, 52 knots. Remember, 1 second in each screen. We are up in the air, so I'm checking the speed, I'm checking outside, I'm checking the altitude, I'm checking that. Put a little bit more torque. 90 knots. Flaps up. We give it more thrust. Just a little bit before it starts complaining. We're climbing nicely, still on runway heading. It's not flashing yet. 12 knots, goes down a little bit. I think if I give more thrust, it will start complaining. Alright, so at this point, we're up in the air, flaps are up, everything under control. I can do manually turns. Turn right a little bit. I would love to get that away, but if I put it away, the circle around the mouse will not work anymore. So, just flying nicely, manually, and we want now to go on autopilot. Okay? Autopilot. Okay. First thing, before turning on the autopilot, I'm going to push the heading bug. This will reset the heading bug to where I'm pointing right now. I don't want to activate the autopilot, and if the heading is on 060, as soon as I activate autopilot and the heading bug, the aircraft is going to turn left as crazy as it can to go to that heading. So I push that. I'm going to push the course, and now I'm going to press the autopilot. Flight director came on automatically, and I'm going to press the heading button. So it's just going to slowly adjust that. So I have my hands off of the yoke at the moment. And now that it's on a good course, I could tell it, hey, turn a little bit to the right. And I can adjust the heading to the right. See the heading bug here, it moved. So it's doing its own thing. And we can enjoy the view a little bit. That's cool. Okay, Alex, how about the altitude? I'm glad you mentioned. So we are almost there for 4,500 feet. Okay, let's adjust our altitude. So remember that I was saying that this altitude knob here on the autopilot moves very slowly, so you have to be fast. So let's go to, I'm going to set it at 7,500 feet. Okay, first adjust the altitude. Love that triangle. Okay, 7,500 feet. Okay, now I'm going to click altimeter. So as I click on it, it's actually going to just stop there. Okay, did you notice that? So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it again. Okay, 7,500. See here, altitude 4,800 feet. I'm going to click on vertical speed now, and I'm going to adjust my vertical speed to whatever speed I want to do to climb. So I'm going to put 800 feet. Be fast to look outside to make sure you're not going against any mountains. So let's turn right so we can follow the lake as we mentioned before. Push the heading bug knob again, and automatically it's going to keep the heading. When I push the bug, if I wanted to keep this heading now, I would push the knob again and it would reset to that heading. But right now, we have a totally controlled flight. We're good. Okay. So I'm going to bring up those frequencies notepad. We have everything under control now. We're climbing, we're on our heading. I can adjust our heading here a little bit, just to follow the lake a little bit more to the left instead of going to that direction. I'm going to go to there, so I'm just gonna, oh, it's flashing red. Let's pull the thrust a little bit back, and I'm gonna put our blue lever just a tiny bit back so we don't kill. Here. Alright, so everything under control, climbing. Cool. On this display here, so we had selected 100 feet per minute. See the black triangle, it's now matching the vertical speed bug. And we're climbing. Our course is at 204, but we haven't selected any course yet. But we should have the VOR that we selected on 1520, and we should have the ADF, which is the NDB 240. So let's confirm. 302. Okay. ADF 302. Cool. And as per our numbers, we want to go to Kamloops on a course of 255 out of Kamloops. So Kamloops, or NDB is there on 1520, and our course is 255. So I'm going to set on the autopilot the course, CRS, right here, 255. So that's going to be our focus. We're going to go on 255. Okay. I have to figure out why is so, the altitude, the altimeter just blinked, saying that they were pushing 7,500 feet, so it's going to level off there. So I'm going to go on PDF, VRG1, GPS. No, that's not what I want. No, that's not what I want. It's not one. It should be there. Interesting. VRG2. That's how it should look like. Let's look outside to make sure we're not in trouble. So let's go a little bit more to the left. We mentioned on the map that we would go through the lake and then go through this entry here to the airport, to Vernon Airport, and then do a left there and follow that valley sort of thing. So I'm going to try to do all that. It would be nice to do it at a lower altitude, but the purpose of this flight right now, it's not for the altitude or for the view, it's to understand all these things here. I didn't set our unit clock, but we should be at 122.8. So let's go here. I'm going to adjust this guy here. 122.8. Outer knob, hundreds. Inner knob, decimals. Let's activate. And now it's active. So I'm having an issue here on our primary flight display. I'm going to zoom in properly here. Oh, this is so annoying. I have to buy that thing. It's giving us now wind reading. So right now we have winds coming up from 270 at 2 knots. We have the course 255. That's where we want to go from Enderby. This house here, it's actually pointing to the VOR that we are selected. So it is correct, but it's not giving us the whole information. And the ADF should be showing up here, and it's not. Sorry guys, if I'm not talking. Alright, let's look outside. Let's go to the right. So we're coming into Vernon Airport, which is just below us. Around that lake over there. 160 knots, so that's almost this. I don't want to go too much faster from there. There you go. It just kicked in. It just kicked in, so I still don't understand why it's not giving us that information. So nav1 155.2, which matches the Enderby VOR. 35 nautical miles. We are coming closer, so we are in proximity, so we're getting closer to it, and it's pointing to that direction. The problem here is that it's not giving us the see this line here? That means how far to the left or to the right we are from the line, from the VOR from our course. It's not giving me that information at all. puzzled. I'm definitely puzzled. We could turn off the landing lights off. It's definitely giving us the viewer information. Still pointing us there, so let's do that. Let's follow the viewer. So I'm going to adjust my heading bug to follow the arrow of the viewer right here. Turn off that highlighting the cursor. It looks like that. This has not happened to me before. I don't know if it's something that we programmed incorrectly here. So let's see if I can delete. And I did. So it's gone from the top. Still, it's not giving me. Let me try something else here. Passing the NDB now. If you noticed, our little house went crazy, so now it's pointing behind us. Although I have not selected on the viewer one. That's interesting. Okay, as long as I'm clearing the mountains, I'm okay. Alright, so let's go to the idea of it. So let's click. I'm gonna delete that thing. Okay, no data. Come alive. So if we look, we have another arrow here. This is pointing us to the NDB or to the viewer, to NDB viewer. So okay, I'm gonna adjust my heading to match that. So the problem is that I have a course set, so 255, because I'm supposed to turn. Once I get here somewhere in Enderby, I'm supposed to do a left turn to go on a 255 course. So right now I'm on 360 degrees, get to Enderby, so in 16 nautical miles, get there and turn left 255. I should have a line here saying, hey, how much to the left or to the right of 255 I am. And it's not giving me. And here's giving me GPS. But, it should be here. Why no data? Why no data? Valley here, so we have a little bit better view. I'm still trying to figure out why it's not giving me the full just for giggles. I'm gonna put it on as well. Sense. But we're on the right track anyway. So, by my calculations, everything is on. If I click here, it resets the course to where I'm pointing out. So we are 5 nautical miles into NDB, so I'm going to turn left 255 very shortly here. So these ones, they're basically just a duplication of that. It does not make sense. heading 255. Searching for where the heck are we? Because now my course should be 255, but without having that line to the left or right, I don't know if I'm to the left of the course or to the right of the course. Although my heading right now could be 255 and my course 255, that not necessarily mean that I'm on straight dead on to where I need to go. Okay, let's bring up our frequencies. I'm not gonna pull the map, but Kamloops NDB, it's 223. So let's go to ADF. Switch that to 223. Enter. And before I click enter again, I'm gonna hope to see actually PDF. Sorry, MDB. If I press enter, there should be a line here coming up somehow. And it's not. I don't know where I am. Because it's not giving me any information at all. In that case, the only option is doing visual. We're way to the left of our course, that I know. Because Kamloops is going to be behind this mountain here. Shrub Lake right in front of us. And I continue flying blindly. Blind as the bats. Bats have cursors. I don't. Not cursors, sorry, sensors. I do not. So the only option would be if I could see. Okay. Show user 36 nautical miles. Okay. Still, it's not giving me. Direction. Okay, so it's giving me a direction now. See that arrow? So it's giving me a straight line to Kamloops. So it's still not doing exactly it's not doing what I want to do at all. At all. Because I really don't want GPS. I want the course from the VOR. Follow the river here to the left. Let's do a left turn. And at this point, we should start descending. So, to descend, let's go here to visualize the autopilots and our primary flight display. So we're going to select first the altitude we want to descend to. I'm going to do 4,500 feet, actually 2,000 feet. So 2,000 feet. Click on vertical speed button, and now scroll up so the nose is actually going down. As we descend and the nose down, our speed is going to go higher, so we actually have to remove thrust. There we go. And now you can see here it's not at 2,800 anymore. And we're going to turn left a little bit more. Kamloops is going to be behind these fellas here. I do not understand why it's not giving me the bearing. Something simple that I've been doing for a long time. So Kamloops, the GPS is telling me that it's going to be 240. That's okay. So flying this direction here, eventually that line, the arrow is going to match the heading I want. And then I'll turn to 255. It's fine. It's okay, but it's not how I want it to work. It should not work like that. it's not giving us any information. It's pointless for us to have 115.20 activated. It doesn't make sense at all. So let's put the ILS. We already picked up the ILS, and this is good information here. So I activated the ILS 109.30 for runway 09. It automatically puts the course on this line here. So you're actually flying opposite to the runway. So you have to fly this heading, turn around, and then join the runway in that direction. And right now it's telling that the runway is way ahead of us. We even haven't passed the runway. So we're gonna trust our instruments. So 240, 245, 250. Once we get here, we turn towards the airport. We can also wait for the line to come to the center here, and then we'll fly to the runway. So that will mean that we are flying into the runway on the opposite direction, and we'll see how everything will turn out. So we are at 5,500. We're still descending, 163 knots. If we look to the right, so if we match that line to where we are, it seems that, see the direction of the line through here, it's probably somewhere behind here. So we're going to do a right turn soon. By the time we do our turn, yeah, we should go to 2559. So let's go to 255. I love the knobs that's okay, so 255. Kamloops is coming up. I don't want to go through here, I want to go through the lake, so let's go a little bit to the left. If I had those lines from the NDB viewer, or from NDB viewer, would have been in the right track. You can see the airport lights over there. So the arrow, this arrow here, it's actually pointing straight to where Kamloops is. This is the intersection that comes from Vernon to Kamloops. That's the runway. If I was inside weather, I wouldn't have done what I did because I didn't know where I was going. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see where I was going to. So, anyway, definitely it's taken more than half an hour because it's too good. It's too good. Alright, so I'm going to go a little bit more to the right here. I'm going into now, so now we're going straight to the airport. I'm going to maintain 3,000 instead of 2,000 feet, so let's go back up to 3,000 feet here, and it should level off momentarily. if I would click the altitude button here, it would level off right now at 3200. Okay, as we are leveling off at 3000, we are dropping a little bit speed, so I'm going to give it a little bit more juice. So, and this is actually the perfect example that we were talking earlier. Radio altimeter, it's 950, but our altitude is 3,000. So what does that mean? Sea level, we are 3,000 feet. This ground at sea level is at 1,800 feet. So technically, we are 1,200 feet above the ground. So this number plus 1,200 feet, it gives us the altitude that we are right now. Right on. Okay. So as we are crossing the runway here, the line, this line here, it's coming to the center. We have 10930, this is the ILS, but keep in mind that we are not going to land in this direction, and this ILS is actually the opposite runway, so we actually have to fly by the airport, turn around, and land on this runway. Not on this runway here, but on this one. So that's 10930, it's there. We are 8 nautical miles from there at 3,000 feet. It's coming to the center. But again, this is for runway 09. And if you look here, the arrow automatically is pointing down, 087. So we could do a flyby right center to, why don't we do that? Right through on top of the runway, 3,000 feet. So I clicked on the BRG1 to match the nav1, and it's pointing that direction. So as soon as I fly by the airport, that arrow, it's going to go through the right or through the left here, but it's going to start pointing backwards really fast. Right now, the line is saying, hey, you are approaching the navigation point that you want, and if you keep going this way, you're just going to pass it. So it's okay. I'm going to pass it. I'm going to select 2,500 feet. Vertical speed. Going down at 300 feet per minute. Gonna fly through the right of the airport. I'm gonna turn around and then approach runway 09. Now see this arrow, nav1 10930. That's the ILS. BRG1 nav1, which matches that 10930. So that line is gonna follow the runway. As we are passing the runway, that line, it's gone because we are too close, and in about 15-20 seconds you're going to see that line that just disappeared. It's going to show on this side. I'm going to continue our descent to 2,000 feet. That's runway 09, which if we look outside, right here. it just showed up. See there? It just passed it. It's right there. Okay, so it's good. So far so good. So let's go a little bit more to the right so we can have a little bit more space. I'm gonna slow down. Landing lights on. Autopilot off. Let's keep flight director on. Our blue lever to the max, so we have maximum torque. And I'm just going to do a quick turn here before we hit the mountain, preferably. Something like this. Yeah. 2,000 feet, leveling off. Giving a little bit of thrust. Not going to slow down more than 100 knots for now. We keep it at 2,000 feet approximately at 110, 115 knots. And now I'm going to continue to keep an eye on that line and on the ILS. There you go. Putting it on idle. Ooh, that's going to be an interesting approach. Oh, I'm not going to see anything. All right, our line here is coming to the center, so let's keep it there. Okay. Our diamond here. Our diamond here, see there? So we are right in line with the runway. 087, 085, and that diamond there. So I'm going to try to do a really final without even looking outside, and whatever you guys see on the screen, it's exactly what I see on the screen. So I even gonna do this. Took. Alright, so I'm too high because the diamond is below, and I'm going to the left, so I'm gonna go to the right. Full flaps. 0.6 nautical miles, way to the right of the runway, so let's go to the right, or I was to the left, and I'm too high now. So if I go down to the right, 60 knots, you know what, I should be right on top of the runway, so let's look outside. There you go. Thrust set. Put it on idle. And exit. As we exit, taxi lights on, landing lights off, strobe lights off, flaps up. On the ground, we don't need all the torque, so we can actually put the feather to the minimum, and taxi to gate. Flight director off. I missed the guy. I'm so sorry. So if you look at the left-hand side here, there's a guy there giving me instructions, so I was actually supposed to take that line. So let's do that. More to the left. Okay, more to the left. Just straight. Okay. Okay. I mean, when you want me to stop. You want me to stop? There we go. Alright. Kill it. Alright. Parking brake set. Parking brake set. Somehow that went out again. So let's feather. Fuel cut off. And fuel valves off. Cool. You already did. Approved. Okay. External power on, so we don't kill the batteries. Fuel pumps off. This way. Okay. Power light switches. Taxi light off. Beacon off. Nav lights stay on until we turn off everything. And that is about it. So, to log in the flight to the Flight Simulator 2020 logbook, now that we turned off majority of our stuff, we turn off avionics 2, avionics 1, and the logbook comes up. So, 46 minutes flight, click continue, and it's logged. Done. From here, we can shut off standby power. We can shut off external power. We can turn off nav lights and kill the battery. And that was a full flight. There you go. Parking brake sets. Everything is off. I believe that is cabin is secure. Ready to exit. That's it, gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching this video and to watch this full flight to Kamloops in British Columbia. The problem that we had with the VOR, I will have to try in a different flight to see if it's an issue on the aircraft or an issue with the frequencies that we have. So anyway, it was a pleasure. Thank you everyone, and hope you enjoy it as well. See you next time.